Caribbean countries demand to be taken off a new global tax haven blacklist. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, December 7. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago are calling on the European Union to remove them from a tax haven blacklist released this week. The CARICOM nations say the EU got it wrong when they put them on the list of 17 states that it says are not doing enough to crack down on offshore avoidance schemes. Grenadian leader Dr. Keith Mitchell wants the EU to remove his country as soon as possible, given that Grenada has adequately and formally indicated its commitment to comply with all stipulations going forward. He insisted that Grenada should not have been on the list in the first place. The Ministry of Finance explained that the reason put forward by the EU for including Grenada was that it had not signed and ratified the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Multilateral Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance as amended and did not clearly commit to addressing these issues by the end of next year. But it said Grenada made high-level commitments complete with timelines to the EU Code of Conduct Group in letters dated November 17th and 28th November this year to address concerns raised about meeting all the criteria set by the EU Council for Transparency and Fairness in Taxation. And the government said Grenada is well on track to meeting the commitments. In Trinidad and Tobago, meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley blamed the last People's Partnership Administration for the current situation, but he also told Parliament on Wednesday that his administration has already started efforts to prove the information on the EU list about the Twin Island Republic is wrong.
Trinidad and Tobago chose in 2011 to subject itself to Global Forum oversight, and in 2014 reinforced that position, but did nothing to put us in a position to execute that commitment. And therefore, now that we are being lumped with those who are in that basket, what is not being said is that in the last 24 months, this government has done yeoman service in trying to bring us to a position to avoid these kinds of labels.
Meantime, Barbados' Minister of International Business, Donville Innes, has expressed shock over the country's placement on the blacklist, and as he insisted that Barbados is a fully cooperative jurisdiction when it comes to taxation matters. The minister said the decision was both unfortunate and unfair. He also cautioned that it could lead to international institutions refusing to conduct business in the jurisdiction or experiencing increased cost when trading with the country. But Innes assured that government would be fighting to get the country delisted as soon as possible. He said the island would be sending a detailed letter to the EU requesting an urgent review of, quote, their rather unfortunate listing of Barbados as a non-cooperative jurisdiction, end quote. He added that Barbados will be urging CARICOM to take the lead on regional dialogue on the matter. St. Lucia was the fourth Caribbean country on the EU's tax haven blacklist. Meantime, the Bahamas government says it will table several pieces of legislation aimed at preventing the country from being placed on the EU blacklist. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said in a statement on Wednesday that his administration will be tabling for debate the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill, the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Regulations, and the International Tax Cooperation Amendment Bill. He said that the country's financial services industry has been under threat for some time, and that on coming to office in May this year, his administration found that the sector was in deeper trouble than anticipated because of negligence by the previous government. Minnis said the new pieces of legislation are extremely important to the Bahamas and its image on the international stage. He assured the bills would enable the country to satisfy the requirements to ensure that it meets various international standards. And more than a year and a half after it was recommended the apology from the Jamaica government for the events in the May 2010 incursion in West Kingston has been delivered to affected citizens. It came Wednesday afternoon in the House of Representatives from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The apology was one of 15 recommendations put forward by the Sir David Simmons-led West Kingston Commission of Inquiry into the incursion. The commission said it was necessary in order to calm the hurt, bitterness and resentment of the people of West Kingston and to promote restorative justice and bring closure to what it called a sorry chapter in Jamaica's history. And while opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips said the apology was welcomed, he insisted there was still unfinished business. TVJ's Andrea Chisholm reports.
May 2010, a massive operation in West Kingston to capture drug kingpin Christopher Dudu-Skoke. 73 people were killed, and now a 4-part apology.
I stand here in this honorable house to unreservedly and unequivocally apologize to the people of Jamaica for the fear and uncertainty that defined that time, to the people of West Kingston, and in particular the residents of Tivoli Gardens and Denham Town, who were most affected through loss of life and damage to property and the pain they endured by the violence that took place.
An apology too to the security forces who faced high levels of violence and to the families of those persons injured or killed. Mr. Holness said the state learned an expensive lesson. Even under a state of emergency, the human rights of citizens should be respected. For opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips, he wants a serious discussion on the emergence of criminal networks in the political process.
I am not opposing an apology. I am saying we have unfinished business. We have unfinished business. One element in the report speaks about dismantling garrisons.
The Prime Minister suggested that could be on the agenda at the Vale Royal talks, which should resume in the second week of January. There was also a passionate presentation from Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, Ronnie Thwaites.
Those who are responsible for the conditions precedent to that war and to that event must also apologize. If you're going to have forgiveness, you must have repentance. And the repentance must cover everybody who was involved, not only in the affairs of what that took place in West Kingston at the particular days, but in all of the antecedents, in all of the history. Start whenever you like. Start wherever the truth directs you.
Staying in Jamaica, the government is extending the special zones of special operation in Denham Town, Kingston, and in Mount Salem, St. James for another 60 days. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement in Parliament, saying both zones have yielded unquestionable results and their impact cannot be overstated. Security forces are given special powers in these zones as authorities try to rout out crime. The Mount Salem zone of special operations was scheduled to expire in December 29, while the Denham Town zone was to expire on December 15.
Move to seek this extension. Let me reiterate that both zones have yielded unquestionable results and their impact cannot be overstated. There has been no report of murders in any of the zones. There has been no report of serious crimes, and there has been no report of abuse by state actors.
Meanwhile, Holness is assuring residents in West Kingston that the zone will not disrupt businesses during the Christmas season.
To reassure those affected that this Christmas will be one of the best Christmases that they have had in years. The zone and the activities of the joint force are not designed to ruin holidays. Instead, the zone and the activities of the joint force will aim to reinforce the true spirit of the season, that is peace and goodwill to all Jamaica.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, an airport security officer among 7 in police custody following a multi-million-dollar heist at Piarco International Airport. We'll be right back.
know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
April 21st, 2018 is the confirmed date for the second staging of the Grenada Invitational at the Karani James Athletic Stadium in St. George. The Grenada Invitational will bring a number of professional athletes from across the region and internationally to Spice Country. The announcement came during the official media launch by Chair of the local organizing committee, Dexter Mitchell.
To date, Justin Gatlin has confirmed his participation in the 2018 Grenada Invitational.
Seven people are in police custody following a $5 million TT heist at the Piarco International Airport in Trinidad and Tobago on Wednesday morning. Among them is an airport security officer. CNC3's Christy Ramnarayan reports that the first Citizens Bank shipment of money to Tobago was hijacked by armed men in a loading area.
But as the amalgamated officers were about to secure the cargo trolley onto the tarmac, an airport security officer halted the team. Police say the airport security told the amalgamated officers that the tarmac is a restricted area for firearms. CNC3 understands that as the amalgamated officers and cargo cart reversed, a Hilux vehicle with 4 heavily armed men dressed in camouflage resembling that of regiment officers pulled up. The men, who were also wearing masks, are said to have ordered everyone to lie on the ground, then proceeded to rob the cart containing the cash. The bandits escaped in a waiting black Hilux, which was later found abandoned in Orapun Gardens with false number plates. The airport's authority confirmed the robbery via media release just after 2 p.m., saying the organization was working with the police and an investigation was launched.
The government of hurricane-battered Dominica on Wednesday rolled out new initiatives aimed at encouraging citizens to invest in the country. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt said his administration had agreed to lower interest rates from 3% to 2% for loans to people in the tourism, agriculture and manufacturing sectors.
So one of the decisions we took yesterday at the Cabinet is to reduce the interest rate from an all-time low of 3% to a further low of 2%. So we're reducing the interest rates from 3% to 2% on tourism, manufacturing and agriculture. In respect to the tourism facility, we will be also extending that facility to the property owners, the folks who are providing housing to the medical students at Ross to help repair their apartments, buy new mattresses, those who had flooding and appliances, so they will also be able to access those loans. It's still a significant sum of money, all put together. You're talking about 12 plus 15 or 27 plus 8. That's $35 million available to the private sector.
Additionally, Skerritt said a new facility would be made available later this month through state-owned financial institutions to people who are still encountering difficulties in repairing their homes. But he warned those financial institutions that the government was prepared to take over the initiative if they take more than 3 days from the receipt of an application to provide the funds. Skerritt said that since the Category 5 storm hit on September 18th, the government's revenue had been severely impacted. For the month of October, the government collected just over $4 million EC dollars. In November, revenue stood at just over $7 million. St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister and Finance Minister Dr. Timothy Harris on Wednesday presented a $706.1 million EC budget to Parliament, indicating that a significant amount of the fiscal package would go to projects aimed at improving the socio-economic life of residents. He told legislators that more than $700 million EC would go to support the implementation of plans and programs intended to improve delivery of public service, contribute to increasing growth in the economy, and improve the quality of life of all citizens and residents. Delivering the budget under the theme, Putting People First in the Pursuit of Sustainable Development, Harris said his government is not only concerned with environmental sustainability and the country's ability to mitigate and adapt to climate change, but how those and other related issues impact the lives and the livelihood of people. He said one of the fundamental issues his administration is determined to address in 2018 is the modernization of the education and training system to prepare citizens for a modern work environment. Harris said during the fiscal year, the government would move to develop a climate change policy accompanied by a climate change adaptation strategy, a new national housing policy, an updated land use policy, and a plan of action for non-communicable diseases, among other initiatives. And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies cricket head coach Stuart Law says the Caribbean side is progressing well. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
French-Canadian Raphael Forcier fared well in race 1, running second. In the final 2 races, though, he struggled in his Indy Motorsports Group Honda. He still maintained third in the standings after the weekend. Floridian Kyle Kirkwood had a great weekend in his number 8 Cape Motorsports Honda. He tackled the technical Canadian track with precision, setting fast times all weekend. Kirkwood swept the weekend, running his win streak to 6. He took over the points lead after the action.
Overall, good weekend.
England and France, well, they got favorable, or what you may call favorable, first-round draws. European champions Portugal, with Cristiano Ronaldo, will play its neighbor Spain in Group B. And Argentina, well, they drew one of the tougher first-round groups with Croatia, Iceland, and Nigeria. Group F is the one they're calling the Group of Death. Defending champions Germany, CONCACAF champions Mexico.
West Indies cricket head coach Stuart Law has echoed the sentiments of dropped captain Jason Holder that the team is progressing well. Although the West Indies went on to lose the first test against New Zealand by an innings, Holder lauded the batsmen for putting on an encouraging display in their second innings. West Indies will be hoping to draw the series in the second test, which bowls off at Ceylon Park in Hamilton on Saturday. That's Friday evening Eastern Caribbean time. Speaking to local media ahead of that final test, Law says the West Indies men are working on building their form.
We're a developing team, that's for sure. In developmental teams, you're going to have some really good days, you know, some bad days. We put down day one of the last test to one of those days that didn't quite work out for us, but we got it right in the second innings. Had we done that on day one, it may have been a different story. But look, we're developing. We're making good strides forward. We've changed our approach to training. We've worked out that we need to be a little fitter. So we're trying to work on that as well. Very tough to do that on the road. In amongst the series, you don't really want to be smashing them too much, leading into a game. But when you've got a bit of downtime, that's the time to do it. Very little downtime in this tour.
Meanwhile, assistant coach Roddy Estwick believes Craig Brathwaite will acquit himself well when he takes over as West Indies captain for the second test against the Black Caps. The 25-year-old side's vice-captain for more than a year was forced into the position after regular skipper Jason Holder was suspended by the International Cricket Council for the upcoming match following an overrate offence in the just concluded Wellington Test. Estwick, who was overseeing Brathwaite's development from a young age, said the Barbadian possessed all the qualities necessary for leadership. He pointed out that the high value Brathwaite placed on his wicket and the high standards he demanded from those around him would be an asset for the side. Brathwaite was one of the few bright spots from the opening test at the Basin Reserve last weekend, which the West Indies lost by an innings and 67 runs inside 4 days. The right-hander scored 24 and 91 in that match that featured a massive West Indies batting collapse, emerging as one of just 2 batsmen who managed half-centuries. And the Black Caps are not writing off a West Indies fight back in the second test. Head coach Mike Hesson said recent history suggested the Windies could come back are stronger at Seton Park and stressed his side needed to be prepared for the potential backlash. West Indies showed their character against England last August, rebounding to stun the host by 5 wickets at Leeds just days after slumping to an embarrassing innings and 209-run loss 3 days at Edgbaston. The core of that same side has travelled for the current tour, with the likes of Craig Brathwaite, Shea Hope and Ruston Chase all expected to suit up for the second test. Batsman Henry Nicholls agreed with Hesson's assessment, pointing out that the Windies had bowled well up front before the Kiwi batsmen got to the top of the pile, up 520 for 9 declared. Now, when the visitors batted, especially in the second innings, Nicholls said they had also threatened at periods. Staying with cricket now, opener Craig Brathwaite and seamer Kemar Roach have continued to flourish in the latest International Cricket Council player rankings despite West Indies' troubles in the recent opening test against New Zealand. In the rankings released on Wednesday, Brathwaite jumped 2 places to 17th in the batting rankings to be the highest-ranked West Indies player, while Roach rose 3 spots to break into the top 20 at 20th position. There was also movement for medium pacer Miguel Cummins, who jumped 4 places to 77th in the bowling rankings after picking up a brace of wickets in the recent test. All 3 can make even bigger strides in the rankings when they come up against New Zealand again in the second test. Now, Shea Hope, Darren Bravo and Ruston Chase are the other Windies batsmen in the top 50, though Bravo has not represented West Indies in over a year. Leg spinner Devendra Bishu, left out in the first test, is ranked 21st, while Shannon Gabriel, along with seamer captain Jason Holder, who will miss the second test through suspension, are the other West Indies players in the top 50 of the bowling charts. Switching sports now, plans for an ice hockey ring in Jamaica may see the light of day early next year. That was announced by Sports Minister Olivia Grange, who also said the country's bobsled team is down to benefit from the new sporting facility.
The Jamaica Olympic Ice Hockey Federation is on the cusp of history. Ground is set to be broken sometime in early 2018 for an ice hockey ring to be built in Western Jamaica. Scout and member of the local Ice Hockey Federation, Donovan Tate, reveals it's an international standard requirement and meetings have been conducted with the necessary stakeholders.
We've been on the island for the better part of a week, meeting with government agencies and entities, having discussions on how we make that happen, and they went very well.
Meanwhile, Jason Swales, CEO of Tropical Ice Ventures, the rink builders, admits his company wants to help expand the sports of ice hockey, and Jamaica was a natural fit, having a hockey federation and a team in Canada.
We build ice rinks all over North America and all over the world, and we've done plenty of ice arenas in
Miami and Tampa Bay and similar climates to this. So we want to bring ice hockey to Jamaica and have it as a tourist attraction, but yet benefit the Jamaican people.
In the meantime, the Minister of Sports, Olivia Granger, says there will be training sessions in Jamaica in the spring with top Jamaican hockey coach Graham Townshend, the first black player in the NHL.
Talking about 32 youngsters between the ages of 12 and 14, or maybe I think they may even start younger, and just teach them the basics. They'll have an opportunity to go and experience ice hockey in Canada.
The minister also reveals that plans are afoot to get an official training facility for the bobsled teams.
So we always have to be one step ahead of everybody else. So we're going to have a genuine bobsled run, or whatever they call it, a runoff, a bobsled runoff, so that we can be that location.
Jamaica's ice hockey team created history this past summer, defeating a Canadian team.
And that's the Sports Day with us. We'll be right back.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Again, the major developments of this day: Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago demand to be taken off the European Union's new global tax haven blacklist. And in sport, as West Indies prepare for the second and final test against New Zealand, the head coach Stuart Law says the team is progressing well. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CanaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.